This AgVision program is made possible through the generous support of Syngenta Seeds NK brand. The results you need, the freedom to choose. And by Farms.com. Ag news, market prices, ag careers, and farm real estate. You'll find it all at Farms.com.
Well, let's get straight to the top manager team who will be responding to this comment from Dick Wittman. Wittman says that governments are focusing on farm management proficiency versus throwing money at agriculture in other forms. He says we roll out the barrel to organics, value-added, marketing, supply chain building as if these are the savior of agriculture. And meanwhile, we're ignoring the fact that our industry is seriously failing in its quest to build a business management model that is sustainable.
It's time for us to begin to take a strategic approach to farming. And what that really means is that we begin to think about farming as a business. Talking about production, over the last 10 to 20 years, the North American farmer, the Canadian farmer, really has had a marvelous success when it comes to production. In my opinion, North American farmer, Canadian farmer is one of the most productive, if you look at productivity per head, compared to almost anybody in the world. But it's time for us to begin to look at the strategic objective, which in actual fact is financial profit. If we look at it that way, then right now, strategically, it's been measured by bushels per acre. We too often try to push to get an extra 1 or 2 or 3 bushels, but it's time for us to think beyond that to the real objective, which is financial profit. If we think about it that way, then the importance of marketing becomes self-evident, because going back to that equation, profit is equal to revenue minus cost. If we have this strategic view where the objective is financial gain, then it will help us to prioritize the kind of decisions, or at least the resources and time and effort that we put into our different decision sets, be they agronomy or marketing or even long-term planning.
The industry as a whole, the ag industry as a whole, has not recognized some of the structural weaknesses in our system. This is particularly evident in the grain system in Western Canada, where our system tends to be to the production and the export of commodities. And what we've learned from top farmers is that are good managers. We learned that there's a difference between management and leadership. And one of the struggles that the agricultural system is facing is, and we see this with top farmers, is we don't have the best system or the best structure because we're too commodity focused, but our top managers are doing well within that system by applying very, very good management tools. So to a certain extent, they're able to secure a profit from the existing system. But one of the things we're learning from a significant number of the top farmers is they're strategically figuring out how they can work outside the system. So outside the commodity sector. They're looking at direct marketing and getting into value chain so that they can get into a system that specifically relates them to the consumer or connects them to the consumer so they can extract some of the margin back to the farm gate. And this becomes an issue of leadership, both at the farm level and at the government level. Because leadership is doing the right thing. It's a quote from Warren Bennis. Leadership is doing the right thing and management is doing the thing right. And one of the challenges we have within the whole agricultural system is doing the right thing. By our system focusing on the export or the production of commodities in a global market, and it's a situation where commodity prices are continually going to go down. You see that in agriculture, you see that in cell phones and computers and Blackberries. The application of technology drives basic prices down. Agriculture commodities will continue to go down. So what we need to do is switch from a commodity market into a higher value market. This requires leadership. Leadership at the farm level, and then leadership at government level and within industry. And this is the critical opportunity for Canada at this particular place in time. We're at a great position as a nation to reconnect and restructure our agriculture that puts more dollars in the farmer's pocket.
We trot out all these ideas like value chains and so forth. The reason we do it, I think, is to say, here's something else you might consider as you're developing that business model. But there are very few people that I run into who are seriously working on it. on developing the business model. It's coming slowly. We see some of them in our executive courses because they understand that they need to do it, but for the most part, we've still got a lot of that mentality that says that farming is a lifestyle, and therefore we don't have to think about being, I don't want to say not being business-like, that's not what I mean, but we don't need to work on the organizational structure. The stuff that is, in any industry, what gives you sustainable competitive advantage. It's how you build your industry, or the structure of your firm, or your farm. How do you get the right sorts of strategic resources in it? How do you keep adapting over time? When you see folks doing that, it's quite amazing, and they begin to think about the long term and how to make adjustments and how to make investments correctly. It is, as we often say, the talents that are required to be a CEO.
Well, I think governments throughout the world, and Canada and the U.S. have much the same challenge, are struggling with where do we put our energies, where do we put our dollars of support, and it's kind of do you give a person a fish or do you teach them how to fish? If you teach them how to fish, you feed them for life. And I believe that we're turning the corner to where it's no longer going to be as much emphasis on just putting commodity support dollars out there to create a transfusion to keep the industry alive. We're going to have to strengthen the structural support in our industry, and by that I mean our management processes. We're going to have to strengthen our research programs so that we have more innovation and higher producing and better genetic type varieties coming out. We're going to have to strengthen our approach to environmental stewardship so that we have more confidence from our consuming public that what they're getting is safe, but they also understand the process that we're following is going to ensure a sustainable producing resource for many, many generations. And you see these farm policies changing drastically in government. What really frustrates me is that you can get so many dollars today in farm support just by going out and doing what you've done forever without having any management sophistication, without having good environmental rules or processes in your business. And that's going to change. Society is saying, we will invest in agriculture, but we want to see that that industry is going to be solid for the future. And probably the biggest uncertainty is that consumers don't understand that this is a business. They have this myth that we should all be the old mom and pop family farm that existed 100 years ago, and that every little farm should be out there with 50 acres and that we can make this work. That's not business reality.